said on Truth Social a number of times you did declassify.
I did declassify, yes.
Okay. Is there a process? What was your process to declassify?
There doesn't have to be a process, as I understand it. You know, there's different people say different things, but as I understand, there doesn't have to be. If you're the president of the United States, you can declassify just by saying it's declassified, even by thinking about it, because you're sending it to Mar-a-Lago or to wherever you're sending it, and there doesn't have to be a process. There can be a process, but there doesn't have to be.
You can declassify documents just by thinking about it, Donald Trump said during this interview with Sean Hannity. And of course, he is really stretching to find any defense to, provide an excuse for what he did in taking top secret and classified documents from the White House to Mar-a-Lago, an unsecure area, and then, by the way, refusing to return the documents when he had multiple opportunities to do so. But we do have an update, a pretty interesting appeal ruling regarding the review of those documents, which I'll get to in just a moment. Cenk.
Yeah, I just wanted to say two fun things. First, he said, as I understand it, but you already took home hundreds of classified documents. Didn't you bother to understand it well before you did that? Didn't you bother to understand how classified documents worked while you were president for 4 freaking years? As I understand it about handling classified documents, I mean, I never bothered learning, okay? And he's like, now you could just look at them and they're declassified, or you could think about it. I just did it in my head, declassified. Reminds me of Ronnie Chang, if you've ever seen his comedy. He's like, oh, Asians are so smart, we do math, and I did it in my head. 4 + 3, 7, just did it in my head, okay? And he just declassified all of her nuclear secrets in his head. Oh no, right wing, do you even want them declassified? Who cares, me like Trump, declassify everything, let enemies get it. Real world does not matter. Okay, now, here comes the real world, which is the court system.
So, by the way, as we know, Trump fought pretty aggressively, his legal team fought aggressively to implement what's known as a special master to review those documents and determine whether any of those documents are protected under attorney-client privilege. However, when that special master reached out to Trump's legal team and asked for an elaborate explanation of this declassification defense, they're like, we would rather not answer that question because he didn't declassify the documents.
I've got to say one thing about that.
He didn't declassify the documents. You guys know that, right? Like they know that.
Of course. So the special master was like, okay, look guys, he's telling the Trump team, you're telling me you don't want to tell me if you declassified them. But then how do I rule on whether they're personal to you? Because that's what the special master is for. Hey, government, don't look at that. That's Trump's private letters and documents, etc. But okay, so which ones are the private documents? We're not going to tell you. Then why did you ask for the special master? That's my job, is to say, okay, that's Trump's documents. Now it's called, by the way, he said, you said it's classified, but it's your private documents. But there are no classified documents that are private. So why are we even having this conversation? Remember, Trump picked this judge, okay? And you wanna know why he picked him? This is so funny. He had actually ruled against Trump in the Carter Page FISA warrant. But Trump had heard through the grapevine that he was very sorry about that and regretted it and thought, okay, I shouldn't have done that, so we're gonna pick him. No, he's just a normal judge who's like, yeah. No, you have to present legal arguments in court. You saying, I lasered it over to you with my eyes is not a legal argument.
Oh my God, but look, to be fair to Trump, so many right-wing politicians said terrible things about him in 2016 during the Republican primaries, and then turned around, got on their knees and kissed his ass.
So maybe he thought he was one of those.
Yeah, no, 100%. Why wouldn't he think that? Well, let's get to this appeals court ruling because it's another major blow to Donald Trump and this investigation, well, his part in this investigation. So the appeals court also pointedly noted that Trump had presented no evidence that he had declassified the sensitive records. Interesting. As he maintained as recently as Wednesday, and rejected the possibility that Trump could have an individual interest in or need for the roughly 100 documents with classification markings that were seized by the FBI in its August 8th search of his Palm Beach property. Now, I want to also get to the great decision that will allow the DOJ to finally review those documents. Remember, because of the implementation of the special master, the DOJ wasn't able to review the documents until the special master goes through them and determines whether or not anything is protected under attorney-client privilege. Well, the appeals court is like, no, we disagree with that. The DOJ can actually go ahead and review the documents now. So just to give you a little bit of background, the initial ruling was by Judge Cannon, who's a Trump appointee, had said the hold would remain in place pending a separate review by an independent arbiter she had appointed at the Trump team's request to review the records. The appeals panel agreed with the Justice Department's concerns. Now, in their ruling, the 3 judges on the panel identified more than a dozen legal errors in Judge Cannon's decisions and said that she abused her discretion. And by the way, they're not the only ones. Legal experts agree with that. Bill Barr, okay, Trump's former attorney general, he agreed with what the 3-judge panel is saying here. And here's what they wrote of the documents. Quote, "It is self-evident that the public has a strong interest in ensuring that the storage of the classified records did not result in exceptionally grave damage to the national security. Ascertaining that necessarily involves reviewing the documents, determining who had access to them and when, and deciding which, if any, sources or methods are compromised. And an injunction that delayed or prevented the criminal investigation from using classified materials risks imposing real and significant harm on the United States and the public," they wrote.
Yeah, so in that portion, what they're saying is, look, the government is saying we have to look through these documents and trace back all of the sources that we have. In other words, potentially spies, and who knows about these documents and how they might have been compromised. Because at some point we might have to pull them from the field because their lives might be in danger. And Trump counters with, yes, but I thought about declassifying it, so they're now declassified. And the judges are like, is this like a SNL skit? What? One side presents no evidence, and that they don't even tell us which documents we're talking about. The other side has a rock solid case that is inarguable. Why are we having this conversation? That's why they're mad at the Trump appointed judge, because they're like, this is clownish. This is, you're endangering national security with no justifiable reason.
Final thing I'll say is, imagine sitting in front of the man who says verbatim, you can declassify it just by thinking about it, and not challenging that notion. That's Sean Hannity, sat there, didn't challenge it, just sat there and accepted it.
Yeah, if Bernie was on this show and he was president and he told us, I declassified the documents, guys. I did it by just looking at it, I thought about it. I'd be like, Bernie, are you serious? You okay? Let's take a break. This guy's not okay. Like, that's crazy. All right, last thing. Special master judge, I love this guy. He's like, you can't have your cake and eat it too. So he says, the classified, you're saying, Trump is saying, the classified documents are mine. And I'm saying, okay, which ones? And you say, I don't want to tell you.
It's ridiculous.
It's like, well, what do you want me to do? You're not telling me which documents are your personal property. And my job as a special master is to figure out what's your personal property to make sure the government doesn't look at it, right? Not gonna tell you, but I am thinking about it.
Well,
okay, hey, right wing, enjoy, man, enjoy. Hey, that's your leader. God bless. I'm very happy about it. Go ahead. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.